young person, younger adult, I really didn't require a lot of sleep. Then I had to start getting up all throughout the night with kids. And that kind of changed things a little bit. Then I was staying up later at night, or getting up earlier in the morning on a regular basis. Couldn't do without as much sleep as I used to be. And I started going to sleep super early, because I was getting up during, not really, like 6, 7, 8. I can go to sleep. I'm not getting out of bed except for 6:30. It's almost like I'm the mother putting myself to bed. You know what I mean? Oh, she's small. She's a science teacher, middle school, Tommy. Oh, just sort tonight. So the other night, how was our little presentation?
Good, good. I was glad that you stood up and gave a little bit more detail than what was being given. I didn't think Mary would get flustered over anything. I was shocked. I mean, I know how I am. I'm So you want us to sit where, by the person we were appointed by? And okay, and do we need to?
I kind of miss not requiring as much sleep as I used to. Oh, yeah. Right, right. But you know, some people do. They take, I mean, even people who are working, they'll take like their hour, their lunch or whatever. They take, and there are some places of business, I mean, they must be very progressive places. They even have like napping facilities. I'm a good napper on weekends. I can nap on weekends. Well, it always surprises me when it comes right down to doing certain things or errands, like grocery shopping or something like that. All of a sudden, my cupboards become magic. I find things in that cupboard. I can eat that. Oh, that'll work. So it's like magic, you know?
Mic down.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Kent County Library Advisory Committee to order on February 6th, 2023 at 5:05. Hillary, do we have a quorum? I believe so. Everybody's here except one. Thank you. The December 5th, 2022 minutes were distributed in email form to us. Does anyone have any corrections, or can I get a motion to accept them if no corrections?
I move we approve.
So I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is old business, and we have no old business to come before us. The next is new business, membership. Linda, welcome.
Linda wasn't able to make it this evening.
Linda's not here, okay. And the other membership is myself, and basically, Robert Scott is right now looking for a replacement, but until then, I am to hold it down until he makes his appointment. So right now, I'd like to move into the state of the library presentations, and we'll be doing that in alphabetical order. And I would like to have the Delaware Division of Libraries up first. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm Dr. Annie Norman, the state librarian. Typically, I like to have a fancy PowerPoint, but I am really behind, and so sorry, you just get words tonight. No pretty pictures. So the first thing I wanted to touch on, typically people want to know from me about funding, but I just wanted to take a minute to celebrate all the library construction funding that was provided this year. It's a bonanza of library construction this year between the ARPA, bond bill, and Community Reinvestment Fund. Kent County received $123,000 for a movable stage. Duck Creek received $13.1 million. Harrington received $9.3 million. And Milford is in the request for the coming year, $150,000 for needs assessment. It was recommended by the governor, which is fantastic. I knew they were going to be short for the coming year, so it was really great that they made the effort to put everyone on the list, and only Newark was shorted. They were on the list, they got shorted a little bit, but so everyone got that. What I'm most excited about related to construction is the Harrington project, because that has been on my library bucket list for a long time. It'll be the last library to really move out of they're in an old funeral home, right? I want them to have a real library building that's been designed for them. And that's finally gonna happen. So they've announced their groundbreaking, which I'm sure they'll talk about tonight. And I am really excited, and hope my boss, the Secretary of State, will attend as well. So the Council on Libraries is appreciative of the $500,000 increase recommended for library standards in the coming year. But Council will be asking the Joint Finance Committee at their hearing for the full $5 million that they've requested that's needed to keep pace with expanded libraries and services. Also, according to the most recent national rankings, which is from federal fiscal year 2019, Delaware is 9th in the nation for state aid per capita and 41st for local operating revenue per capita. I'm sure the libraries would appreciate increase in funding from all funders, state, county, and local. We hope all of our funders will share that investment and the benefit of libraries. We have an Equity Through Literacy project. As you've probably seen, the state reading scores aren't all that we would hope. And so we have several initiatives around that. We ask for everyone to rally around Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. We do have a monthly zip code report. The latest one for January shows that 49% of children under age 5 are registered, and that's up from 36% in December 2021. So the question is, how far can we get this year? We might get to 60%, but that's really, we want to get to 100%, right? But let's see if we can get further along than that, because if we can get closer to 100%, that's going to help ultimately the reading scores. So, my mental target is, can we get to at least 75%? So we're hoping for a friendly competition and so the zip code reports will be sent out to public officials, the legislators, levy court, mayors, everybody we can think of, and please share these reports. So have a friendly competition to see if you can sign up all the children in your zip code. See if we can get closer and closer to 100%, and thanks for your help. We are also adding school libraries to the Delaware Library catalog. This is the last mile to ensure all children are in book floods, even if they aren't taken to their public library. The local districts, now the funding for this was thanks to Representative Longhurst, who is actually up north with the Colonial School District. But she's working with other legislators throughout the state, and the local districts we were asked to approach include Smyrna and CR. And they're all considering it. They're not quite sure. They're not all on board yet. But the Vo-Techs are on board. In fact, Polytech will be joining the catalog. So please encourage any school library that you're associated with, your friends, family, neighbors. Please encourage your school libraries to join the statewide Delaware Library catalog. There's no cost to join. All they need to do is contact me. It's not easy, but it's not a simple thing, but it is worth it. So thanks for your help with that. There's also recommended, in the governor's budget, recommended increased funding for library technologies to sustain the powerful library infrastructure that we have in Delaware. The RFID implementation is almost complete in libraries around the state. And we also have the telehealth project underway is being better integrated with existing social innovation partnerships in libraries to ensure sustainability of that. For the Delaware Electronic Library appropriation that's in the budget, we got the first recommended increase for the databases and ebooks in a decade. So the use of ebooks increased during COVID, and now we're getting complaints because we need a larger collection. So I'm really excited that that increase has been recommended. So thanks, and I'm happy to entertain questions either now or throughout the evening if you have questions for me. Okay.
Anyone have any questions for Ann?
So, thank you. I'll be here.
Oh, wait a minute. One from the.
Madam Chair, are you taking any questions from the public?
Could we please let them ask a few questions at the end of each presentation so it's in context?
So very quickly, one of the emails that went out stated that the presentations would start at 5:30. Is there any reason why we can't push the delay until 5:30 for the rest of them? Make sure everybody has a chance to get here.
That would be okay with me if it's okay with the rest of you.
Anyone have a problem with that?
No, but we could ask Dr. Norman some more questions.
Sure. Sure.
Would
She's
you
already
be-
in the hot seat.
Would you be all right with some questions? I have one in particular in regards to the opportunities for other schools to implement their libraries into the catalog. Is it my understanding, I've had the fortune of being at the Council on Libraries for a number of years, that the library in developing and tagging all their materials with a team that comes from your location?
Yeah, so the funding that's been provided, the $1 million, does allow for that as well. Because we learned, Colonial was our pilot, and we learned from Colonial, even though we said, rally some volunteers and tag the books. Well, it didn't work out. We had to hire a company then to come in, and so we just included that in the budget request. So they're going on site, and because we didn't have everyone coming in at once, we were able to add RFID to that. So Colonial is also getting RFID, which is radio frequency ID tags. So that means, I don't know if you've been, Dover Library has it. Well, you have it too, do you?
Kent County was the first one to get
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
so, and we were thrilled with it because we did, in fact, ask for this, when we opened up our
Yeah,
building?
so Kent County volunteered first. It's like, thank you, I have volunteers. So Kent County was first. And so anyway, so if you've been to Hillary's library, then you've, or any of the libraries in Kent County, you've experienced the RFID self-checkout machines. And in fact, I've been at the library a couple times where I've heard patrons going up to the desk and handing a stack of books, and the staffer takes it and then hands it back, and they're like, wow, that was quick. So yeah, it saves staff time.
And is some of the pushback not necessarily from the libraries not actively engaging in joining you, but they have to seek permission from their principals, their superintendents, their various supporters before they're permitted to do this. So as we ask for support from the community, it's not just the librarians. There needs to be a much broader outreach within their local support group for their schools in order to make this happen.
Yeah, it varies. I kind of, my sense is people either get it or they don't. And so not everyone perceives the strategic benefit of it. But, it's the reason, actually, one of the reasons that we came together in a statewide catalog, which was launched in 2006 and went statewide in 2010, was so that we could pool resources. We're a small state with limited resources, and so we need to make sure that our collection can be as broad and deep as possible so that we're supporting Delawareans' brain power. And it was, in the 1990s when I realized how bad the school libraries were. And in fact, Tom from Colonial, he submitted, and we just presented at the American Library Association LibLearnX, which was in New Orleans last weekend. We presented, and I was showing some of the articles from the 1990s from News Journal and State News. Parents unhappy after checking out library. It's like, that was me and the PTA. But not much happened. And here we are, how many years later? 3 decades? And, my grandkids are in the same situation that my kids were. And in fact, even in Colonial, one of my slides, see, I don't have my slides tonight. Anyway, one of my slides showed books that we pulled from a middle school library in 2019, the books from 1980s, 1970s, and 1960s. And I have evidence. I mean, I've got a box of them in my office. And, if we wonder why our reading scores aren't where we want them to be, and one thing that Tom realized, because he's actually ed tech before, he's over libraries, but his background is educational technology. But he says, we have, now what's it called? It's a 4-year replacement cycle. So they flip out any devices in 4 years. And he's like, well, we got to do that with the books too. It's like, yeah, you got to have the budget for that so you can roll them out and replace the books so that the kids are developing the knowledge base and the literacy scores too.
And this is just not a book replacement. This is
So the purpose of this particular project is the connection, is connecting them so they're live. So we have a very small profession, and so it's and of course the school librarians are all isolated by themselves, right? So this is a way that they're connected and they're getting more support from their colleagues, and we're collaborating together on helping Delawareans. So it's the connection, and I said that to Representative Longhurst and the others, that You know, I said, this is not the content, it's just the collection. And she said, "Well, that'll come later." So it's one reason why I'm eager to like hurry up and get this done while she's still, she's still around, because she might get more money for shared content on top of all that. But it does, if a district joins, then they will get access to our ebook collection through the Overdrive collection. Well, ultimately, you know, baby steps. There's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Not UD Live Search, no. No.
Mark, are there microphones on? So they don't have to push the button or anything? So make sure that when you talk, push the button so the green light is on, because they are recording this session for future use. Just a couple questions, Dr. Norman. Thanks for being here. We appreciate your presentation. You mentioned the Milford Library and $150,000 for needs assessment. Do they have to?
$150,000.
$150,000. Do they have to state specifically what the needs assessment is for? Is it for expansion or for a new library?
They're not looking for a new, I don't think they're looking for a new library. I think
It's a lot of money for a needs
a
assessment.
well, what happens is if they don't, it used to be less than that, like 50,000, but that wasn't enough. If there's funds left over, then it goes toward, you know, assuming that there's going to be some kind of work done, it goes toward that work.
Okay.
Yeah, so the needs assessment is determined, well, what is feasible, what is needed? I mean, you know, they've expanded twice, and even I'm like, really, again? You know, but, you know, build it and they will come. So they obviously have needs to expand and to maximize the property that they have.
So with the discussion about bringing schools into the catalog, has there been any communication from officials about removing content from public libraries?
No. We're fortunate. We have not had that kind of conversation in Delaware, at least not in the recent period, where other states are struggling with that. But I gotta, you know, like I say, I've got samples of stuff that's been on shelves that should be removed because it's outdated. It's like, let's talk about that first.
But not content that some people might find offensive.
Well, and there's so few school libraries that have a budget. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't think that's a worry right now because they don't have funds to put it in. So, you know, we've got other issues that I think
Sure.
Delaware needs to address first.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So to back his question up, if we're not having that issue when you open the catalog up,
Knock on wood so far.
right, so if you open the catalog up, we're knocking on wood that won't be an issue at that time, because if are you just having the catalog between the schools, because what you're talking about is everything that's in every library, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the way it works is what we tell the schools when they join on that, you know, first of all, they should all have a collection development policy. So they have, you know, that's supported by their school board that says, you know, here's what, you know, is permitted under the collection development policy. But they are responsible for reviewing what comes into that library. So if something, you know, they have to check it in when it gets there to get it to the right person. So they just need to, you know, kind of double check and make sure that, that it's appropriate. It's age appropriate typically.
So I have a question so are the schools that are not participating, are they basically resisting because of additional resources that they need to accept the collection that comes in from the different libraries?
So it's definitely a staffing issue. You know, if the library doesn't have a full-time school librarian or doesn't have a certified school librarian, there's definitely staffing issues, which is why the school librarians, they typically say the first priority is a full-time certified school librarian in every school. But nothing has happened in 30 years. So it's like, all right, let's try this, the connection. So in some cases, they'll connect. In fact, one of the administrators said, oh, you know, I know it's work to connect it, but then is there work after? It's like, well, you know, you only get out of it what you put into it. So it's a great resource for your school, for your students and your faculty, and even your school community if you want. But you know, it does take a certain amount of attention to make good use of it. And we see there's a variation in that. In fact, Tom has been phenomenal. He's like gone overboard with his, you know, trying to figure out how best to use it and all of that. And I'm having trouble keeping up with him because it's like, well, I didn't expect such enthusiasm, you know. So we're going to have to up our game too to be able to help those schools to get the maximum use, and that's an exciting problem for me to do that. Thanks for your interest.
Hillary, do we have anything else in the way of business for Levy Court and our council?
Well, I would like to mention that Mr. Hertz, Commissioner Hertz, did make an appointment to the commission, and although that appointee is not here this evening, her name is Linda Tajaden, T-J-A-D-E-N, and she will be joining us at the April meeting. And I know that as a result, Deb Lawhead will be crafting a letter outlining our deep appreciation for Marie Cunningham's many years of dedicated service to this organization, this committee, and to the greater library community throughout Kent County and the state. So that is something that needs to be observed for this meeting.
Are there any updates we want to do at this point for the various libraries? Are there any updates we want to do at this point for the libraries?
I'll tell you, because I knew we were doing the State of the Library meeting, I did not prepare a director's report or anything else. I was too worried about having to do my portion of it at the very end. And if anybody here knows me very well, they know that I truly hate making public presentations like this. So I'll be at the very end when everybody has exited the building. And in the meantime, we come closer and closer to 5:30. I'm not really sure exactly how close we are. All right, then that means I can stop talking and that we can resume the meeting as originally planned. Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation will be Dover.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome.
Hi. Apologize if we kept you waiting. We thought we were being polite, waiting in the hallway. For anybody that hasn't met me, my name is Brian Sylvester. I'm the director of the Dover Public Library. I've been with Dover for about 2.5 years. I have a few slides to run through with you folks, not too many. Hopefully I won't take up too much of your time this evening. Just for a start, I hope you all... Too close to the mic or too far away? Closer to you. This is to go forward, this is to go back. Excellent, thank you. Can everybody hear me now? Yes. Thank you. Do I need to repeat any of what I just said? You didn't hear me. Okay. My name is Brian Sylvester. I'm the director of the Dover Public Library. I've been with Dover for about 2.5 years. I have a few slides to run through with you folks tonight. I hopefully won't take up too much of your time, but I wanted to thank you all for attending. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about what's going on in Dover. To start with, our cover slide here, you'll notice throughout the presentation that we've done a rebrand at Dover. We have a new logo, we have some new artwork, we have some new color schemes. So we're treating this presentation as an opportunity to show some of those off and let you know what we've been doing. The new slogan for the library, the new mission statement, if you will, is Building Better Community. So the logo, as you can see, is designed in a way that it can be stacked and nested so that we can literally create buildings with it. We can use them as building blocks. These are just our initials and different orientations, DPL. So the library in Dover is a municipal library. I'm sure many of you know we're considered a city department, City of Dover. So this is just kind of an image of groups of organizations that are affiliated with the library that provide advice or governance. We work closely with DDL and DLC. We also have the DPL Library Advisory Commission, which is a group that's similar to this group. That group has been on hiatus, I guess would be a nice way to say it, since the beginning of the pandemic. They have unfortunately not had enough members to make quorum, so they haven't been having meetings. We have a new member, Teresa Whalen has joined. She was appointed at the most recent City Council of Dover meeting. And she'll be joining us at our first meeting will be in March, I believe. So she'll be joining Zach Carter, Jill Street, Fred Neal, myself, and City Manager Dave Hugg, and the President of the Friends of the Dover Library, Ann Alexander. We also have the DPL Foundation and the Friends of DPL, but I'll speak a little bit more about them on a later slide. We've had a couple of capital projects at DPL since the last one of these presentations. We had a major project to upgrade the lighting on the inside of the building. We've switched over to a high-efficiency LED lights throughout all of the interior. That was a grant-funded project. That was money that we received from Crystal Trust. That grant was in connection with the 10-year anniversary of the building on Lockerman Street. With grant money from the Welfare Foundation, also for the same 10-year anniversary, we were able to create 2 study rooms on the second floor of the library. Each of them seats 4. They are unfortunately a silent space. We're not able to have large groups working in there because the room echoes enormously because of the height of the ceilings on the second floor. We are looking at some solutions for that. You'll see the colorful panels here on the sides of the walls. Those are meant to be acoustic tiles. They work a little bit, but we really need something above the rooms to block the echo. So a little bit of room to improve still. For infrastructure and planning, we had a makerspace on the 3rd floor of the library in the teen loft. We have actually pulled that. We're not having that as an active program anymore. We didn't really have any direction for it. We just had the equipment, it was out, and if people used it, great. If they didn't, there wasn't really any consequence to that. So what we've done is we've removed the 3D printer, which we had a lot of technical issues with. It didn't print very well, frankly. We were looking at needing to replace it anyway. The other equipment we're hoping to put into a new project, the Library of Things. So these will be physical objects that you can check out with your library card, like a sewing machine or small tools or craft supplies, things that used to be in the makerspace. They'll end up in the Library of Things instead. We are in the process of 2 projects. We're adding key card locks to the study rooms that I just mentioned. That's been held up because of chip shortages. Our vendor just isn't able to get the parts that they need to move forward with that. We're also renovating meeting room A and B, which is on the 1st floor of the library. We're changing that over to allow for seamless hybrid meetings. So we'll have a wall-mounted camera system and ceiling-mounted microphones so that we can easily switch back and forth, do in-person, hybrid, or completely virtual meetings depending on what we need. But again, that project is held up a little bit because oddly enough, microphones are one of the hardest things to get parts for right now. So, in new collections, we have added Newsbank, which is an archival research database of archival newspapers. We have added Canopy and Tony boxes. Those are both programs through DDL. We had an urban fiction collection as part of our fiction section on the 2nd floor. We're now adding DVDs to that collection. We're kind of doing a test this year. We're buying a small number of them, see how well they circulate, and then we'll expand. The Seed Library has been the unexpected success of 2022. We put out, calling it a library is a little bit misleading. It's really just a seed giveaway. It's flowers and herbs. We've already more than doubled it based on demand. People really like the Seed Library, so we'll be adding flowers to it in the next season. The Teen Resource Center is actually kind of funny. I added this to the slide before I realized that we've actually stopped offering that, so I won't say anything else about it. Our World is in the teen loft, so we use a bookstore model in that loft, so we don't use the Dewey classification system for nonfiction. So Our World is broadly analogous to the 900s, so geography, history, that kind of stuff. The big news is that starting in fiscal year 24, we are going to increase our contribution for downloadable and streaming content. What we're going to do is take the total amount of money that Dover puts forward for print, AV, and online content, take 20% of that off the top, and that's what we're going to contribute to eMedia. So based on the 2023 numbers, that'll be approximately $63,000. Could go up a little bit. We haven't run the numbers yet for FY24. On the professional development side, we have a new product called SkillType. This is also provided by DDL. I think Dover was one of the first libraries to start kind of piloting it. So this is a great program for professional development. People can create an account on SkillType, tell it what they already know how to do and what they're interested in learning, and then I, as manager, can go in and say, these are the priorities for the library, these are the kind of things that we want our staff to learn, and then SkillType will kind of marry those two together and customize a learning opportunity for the staff member. So we're excited to start using that a little bit more. Staffing changes, this is just a wall of text, which I will not read to you. Major changes is we do have a new assistant director in Dover, Audrey Avery. She's new as the assistant director. She's certainly not new to Dover. She's been there for close to 20 years. She's worked in every department. As assistant director, she has oversight of the adult services department, program, and collections. We've also had some turnover at the city manager level. Unfortunately, wasn't able to be here with me tonight, but David Hugg is now the city manager of Dover. Has been there for close to a year, I think, maybe not quite. I took over for Mr. Harline when he left. The new faces column, I won't read it, but just to say that we have had a lot of turnover in Dover. We've had roughly half of the staff has changed since the pandemic, so a lot of new faces. Hopefully you'll all get a chance to come over and say hi to everybody. We also have the baby blue hen, which is our mascot costume, which I really think that all of the Kent County libraries should get their mascots together for a fight so we can establish dominance. I finally got a laugh. Thank you. Primetime Family Reading, I'll shift focus a little bit over to programs. So this is one that we're really proud of. This is a children's literacy program. It was brought to us by Susan Elizabeth Cordell, who's the head of youth services in Dover. It's something she did in the library she used to work in down south. So what this is, the program is meets with families. So it's not just encouraging the kids to read, it's encouraging the families to read as a group so that they continue doing it after the program. So the program is 6 weeks. We provide a full meal for the entire family. The kids and the parents will all sit down together. We have paid professionals, we call them the storyteller and the scholar. Excuse me. They read the stories with the families. They teach the families how to read stories with their kids. So it's a really collaborative process. It's a really great program. We're going into our 4th session starting in March. We have special thanks for DE Humanities. They've given us some grants to support the program, and really looking forward to seeing what we can do with it. In the upcoming session, we're going to be working with Town Point Elementary and East Dover. Programs and events, this is another wall of text that I won't read to you, but in addition to all the kind of standard library programs that are out there, we have a few unique things. We did some celebrations last year for our 10-year anniversary in the new building on Lockerman. We are a passport acceptance facility in Dover. We have them down in the lobby. They've actually had their busiest month since they've been in Dover. And last month, January, they had 266 applications, which raised $13,502 for the library just in 1 month. So they process quite a lot of revenue. It's something I think other libraries should definitely look at if they have the ability. We do a lot of social services work out of the Job Center. We have DHAP doing rental assistance. We have naloxone, also called Narcan, training on that. I think we have a gentleman that comes in once a month to help people with getting crimes lifted off of their records. There's a word for that I can't think of because I'm in front of a whole bunch of people. Say it again? That was the one. Thank you, Heather. In financial news, we have received a lot of grants over the last couple of 2 years. We received about $80,000 in grants for the library's 10th anniversary of the new building. So what we tried to do is treat that as an opportunity to look at what worked, what didn't work, what could be improved in the building, because 10 years is just a nice round number to do that. We also, the Friends of DPL were named as a beneficiary in the David and Rayzella Spector Trust. So that's an annual thing. They're getting money from them, so that's about $36,000. 80% of that is meant to go toward the collection. So we spend that on books, movies, newspapers, whatever. The remaining 20% is meant to be spent on equipment, furniture, facilities, those types of things. For this year, we're investigating replacing one of the service desks, either in the teen loft or on the second floor for reference. One of the things we did when I first started working in Dover was we had 6 people on staff that were all getting their master's degree in library science all at the same time. So we took those 6 people and we put them on a committee and we said, we want you to write a 3-year strategic plan. What they came up with was the 2020 to 23 strategic plan. We're now in the process of writing the next strategic plan. A few of those people are still with us. A few of them have moved on, so we have a new committee that's working on it. Overall, the program was mostly successful. We had a few goals that we had set that we didn't meet. But we were able to create a marketing plan. We were able to move forward with the rebrand, which I will talk about in a little bit more detail here in a minute. We moved forward with a facilities plan, which created a lot of the projects that we ended up working with for those grants that I mentioned a moment ago. We do an annual survey, and a lot of our goals had to do with the results of that survey, so we wanted to make sure that people thought that the library has a diverse collection, is offering diverse programs, is a safe place, and has good customer service. We met all of those goals. We actually exceeded a couple of them. We're looking at how we can kind of tweak those goals for the next iteration of this so that we can make sure that we're really dialing in on, if we're getting high marks for safety, but there's still a public perception of not safety, what can we do to address those things? Because it's a lot of the comments that we'll receive where people can fill out and give us more detail, that's where they'll kind of talk more about the specific changes that we can look at making. But overall, the feedback has been pretty positive. So the marketing plan, the rebrand project was largely grant funded. We worked with a brand consultant out of California called Lobster Phone, which I think is an interesting name, but she did a great job for us. She designed this new DPL logo with the Building Better Community, stumbling over my words a little bit. Anyway, she designed all this cool stuff. We're excited about it. We've been rolling it out. We set February 1st as a soft deadline for most of the new material. We were able to get business cards, website updates, bookmarks, all that kind of stuff. There's still a few larger items that we're going to be looking to purchase over the spring. I am working with the City of Dover to buy some banners that'll fly on Lockerman Street that'll have this logo on them, hopefully in April for National Library Month, excuse me. For community support, we do have an active friends group. They run the book sale in the lobby. They also run a few other programs for us when they administer that trust fund I mentioned a moment ago. The Dover Library Foundation is a 501c3 that was founded in 2009 to raise money for the new building. They are still active, but they've shifted focus. They're now raising money for an endowment. And those are my slides. So at that point, I will pause and ask if there are any questions.
Hi, Judy Sweeney from Kent County Levy Court. Mr. Sylvester, thank you. I was contacted by Councilman Roca concerning the Get Delaware Reading Initiative. Is library working with the council on the reading initiative from United Way? Yeah. You are?
Yes.
Good answer.
I have it on good authority that we're doing that.
All right, I just want to make sure, because he's coming to us going to ask for funds.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure that, we weren't out on
Yeah,
the island.
I will follow up and I'll talk to Councilman Roca as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you.
Any questions for Dover, Brian? No? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Next on our agenda is Duck Creek Regional Library.
Well, just to reiterate what the state librarian was talking about, I can give you a prime example of a a book and a couple of books that were in our library in the Smyrna School District that said, "When we land on the moon." So that's just a prime example of what you were talking about. I had to chuckle when she mentioned that. I'm Kathy Messer, and I'm the president of the Duck Creek Regional Library Board of Directors, and we've come to you tonight to show you our pride and joy that has been a long time in the making. I taught in the Smyrna School District for 30 years and have lived in the Smyrna-Clayton area for over 50 years, and this is something that's very close to my heart. It's been a very long journey, and we've overcome many obstacles over the past many years in order to have this happen. And we have picked up the mantle and forged ahead. And yes, unfortunately, some of our dear people that worked so hard with us are no longer with us. But I just wanted to mention they're looking down from heaven tonight. So I just wanted you to know just that the bottom line with this is that, you know, we're an organization that never ever gave up. I come before you tonight to proudly present the vision that we have with the Friends of Duck Creek Library. Board of Directors unanimously voted to have. This is to be located on Main Street of Smyrna and East South Street, and it'll be connecting to the historic building of what was the old post office, which was for about 30 or 40 years central office for the Smyrna School District. We have received over $7 million in ARPA funds and over $9 million in Delaware State bond money, but we have to keep in mind that this money is time restricted. So we do hope that we can follow through the process, and we could hopefully break ground. Well, we need to break ground this summer in order to meet our timeline. We'll begin with the PowerPoint now, and if you'll kindly hold any questions until the end, because if I lose my place, we could be here all night for me to get back into it, so I know you'll appreciate that. This is the first picture. It shows the old post office in the left in the forefront with the proposed new addition in the background. In Smyrna, if you ride through, the parking lot is already paved, and you can really see what it would look like. It's just absolutely gorgeous, but of course I am partial. This is the parking lot, and you'll see that far on the left is the old post office with the addition. And in the top section, that's our large meeting room, and it's laid out beautifully. It's really too small for you to see, but I think that each one of you have a copy of the PowerPoint that you can peruse later on. This is the side view of our beautiful building, and I do have to say we had an open meeting, a public meeting about 2 months ago. And one of the comments that we took away from someone in the public, they were saying that it was a younger person, and they were saying how much they appreciated the contemporary architecture, and they felt that it would also be a draw for young people. And I had to agree with him on that. I thought that was an insightful thing for him to say, and it was another plus for our architect, who I can't say enough about. I had worked with the Smyrna Opera House when we were going through that renovation and addition, and I have to say that Craig Williams is one of the most patient and most cooperative architect I have ever dealt with. So if you ever need anyone, Craig's the man. This is my favorite picture, and my husband and I drove up from coming north on Smyrna, just to see what the sight line would be at night. And it's a clear, I know there'll be people that might not know what that is, and they'll think it's a UFO that's landed, but it will be absolutely gorgeous at night. And you'll be able to see it from 13 when you're coming north, and it will be just lovely. But I love this nighttime photo of it. And this is looking down, and you see the proposed, this is something that I really particularly like, that hopefully we'll be able to have this, is a drive-through. And for a lot of senior citizens and a lot of young mothers, that they wouldn't have to get the baby out of the car and the baby stroller and everything else to go in, that you can call ahead and have your books you can return. And I just think that's a wonderful addition. This is another view from that side. And over on the right would be one of the large meeting room, and the one in the middle is the work area, and another small meeting room. But this is an interior view. And the benefits of a new library, let me get my copy that's closer for me to read. The new business and civic partnership, increased foot traffic with surrounding businesses, which this is right downtown. Expanded book collections for children, teens, and adults located near schools. And I have to tell you right now, this is the part that I think is wonderful about this location, and I can't say enough. We have 2 elementary schools, well, actually 3 elementary schools. One is a 4th and 6th grade school, JBM. But we have 3 schools that children can walk to this library after school. And there are crossing guards at all of these locations where they can go safely and then be picked up later on. It couldn't be in a better location. Enhanced parking, the cornerstone of downtown revitalization, which is, it's just like a twofer, that you get so much more with it being where it is. Community meeting rooms and program space, the new programming for children and adults, state-of-the-art technology, more services for adults and families, adaptations to the new COVID and community needs, which we also have a drop-off box, but that drive-through would really help if we ever have anything like that again. The town of Smyrna no longer financially will be responsible for the operations. New services for children and families. A larger library will allow space for the marker space for hands-on STEM activities, special needs programs, children's computer to promote early learning, designated space for teens, and more. Services for adults. A larger library will allow computer classes, crafting classes, health checks, senior programs, cooking classes, and much more. Our projected timeline, we're at the number 3 position at this time. And May of 23, construction drawings completed. June of 23, bidding for the projects. And hopefully July of 23, construction would begin. September to October of 24, move in, and our grand opening would be in November or December of 24. Our capital campaign expenses, over 18 million, revenue to date 17 million, plus amount to be raised approximately $1 million. And in the scheme of things, those are really good numbers. Our anticipated operating costs, I won't go through each and every one, it's $720,000. Operating costs will cover the following, and you'll be able to read what that would include. The governance board will be created with a board of directors who will be responsible for hiring of staff, financial oversight, policies, and procedures. The library operating budget, projected revenue, this goes through to 24 to 27, and I have to take time to thank our developmental, our develop and professional fundraiser. I can't say enough about this lady, Kay Wheatley, and right there. And also Joanne Maston, who is on Kent County Levy Court, but before she was our mayor in Smyrna and has been with this project for many, many years. And without her, we could never have gotten this far. But these two people have just, I can't say enough about the two of them. The library operating costs will be covered by enacting a library tax district as well as through grants and annual fundraising. And the library tax district, I'm going to turn it over to Kay right now.
Thank you all. I just wanted to share with you, right now, the residents in the county, but not in the town of Smyrna, pay .033 per $100 of assessed value as part of their library tax. What we are recommending is that that tax be increased to 0.49 per $100 of assessed value, and the tax would be implemented on the residents of Smyrna plus people within the Smyrna School District, within the county. And in talking to Susan Durham, when the reassessment occurs, it's not a case where everybody's tax will jump up. The rate will then be adjusted so that the amount is basically staying the same. This is information that I received from the previous county administrator on how to move forward with the library tax district. My understanding is, and I know this for a fact, it is already legislated at the state level, but we will be going to levy court, and I already had the meeting with the levy court leadership group to find out the next steps. Now it is my understanding that this has changed a little bit, and I'm still in the process of figuring out exactly what to do, but I also understand that we will be doing a presentation to you guys and asking you to make a recommendation to levy court for the implementation of the tax. I'm wondering if that would be possible at your April meeting. We are planning, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Well, just so you know, this is a QR code that will take people directly to the website, where then anybody within the Smyrna School District or the Library District will be able on the website to put in their map and parcel and find out exactly what their tax will be. They're going to find out it's not going to rise that much. This is the marketing plan that is in place because it's critical that everybody within the district that we can reach know about the plan. So we are planning presentations to towns, to all the towns, and then also website updates, which are almost complete. We will be doing PowerPoints for any of the civic organizations that would like more information. Starting in February, later this month, we will be doing press releases, Smyrna Times, Smyrna Extra, which is 1 time a month, Smyrna Messenger, and the Delaware State News. And then February through September, we will also be doing a social media blitz We will be having flyers and posters and brochures in the schools, sharing at HOA meetings around town at the current library, and a one-page flyer for the public, like a brochure that will explain not only the library tax district, but the benefits they get from the new library. We will be trying to conduct one public meeting in March and one in April to answer any questions, and doing other speaking engagements, like I said, at HOAs and civic organizations, and those listed are some of the civic organizations that we would try to reach out to. So we had hoped to be able to go, I'm gonna go back. As you can see, we're planning on trying to start construction in July or August of '23. I'm hoping to know that the library tax district can be in place before construction is started, so that the future operators of the library, I'll say, know that that revenue will be there, and it's in addition to revenue from the state. We'll be doing grants and other means of raising revenue. As you can see, Newcastle County has also made a verbal commitment. We're going to be meeting, Kathy and I are going to be meeting with them very shortly to try to get that number up. And the Friends of the Library, while they're the ones building the library right now, once it's built, they will turn it over to the governance board that was referred to, and their responsibility will be for raising some funds for operations. And then, as you can see, the gifts, grants, and room rentals. This is how the library will be constructed. It will be constructed as far as operating. It'll be a board of commissioners, which is another reason that it is important to get the library tax in place, because it is my understanding that the ordinance that is drafted for that would be approved by levy court, will include how a board of governance will be created, okay? By state statute right now, it will be a 5-member board, and we're hoping to have a broad representation, maybe one from each of the towns, one from the levy court representative for the area, and one for the Newcastle County representative for the area. And then from there, the library director, that's the other reason I'm trying to get the library tax in place, so that she can play a role. One of the first things I would recommend to the new board is to go ahead and formally hire a director, even if she didn't, or they didn't start right away, so that they could be a part of the construction process and some of the planning. And then it's other staff from there. This is the existing Board of Friends of the Friends of Duck Creek Library Board of Directors. And any questions?
I'd like to thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Comprehensive. We really appreciate having this in front of us to look at. Will help us to prepare for your presentation. I'm sure we'll try to provide time as soon as possible. Hillary will be in touch with you on that.
Okay, that sounds great.
In regards to the city of Smyrna, I think this is pretty well addressed in your presentation. They're not supporting you at all, is that correct? They're not the they're not the sustainability funds are not included because the city's giving you that. They're not even giving you that, are they?
No, right now, the town of Smyrna, how do you say this? They are supporting us in that we would like a new library. We have not received any formal commitments from a financial standpoint.
So they're not going to maintain your yard, they're not going to landscape, they're not going to water.
Part of the lease that was created, they will be playing a role in maintaining some of the landscaping and things like that. They'll be making a contribution from that way, from that standpoint,
would
but
help.
not to actual, for the building.
No funding. It would help to see what they're committing to you to do.
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping when you present to us that you can present what they're going to commit to do for you.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just waiting to make sure that none of the members have questions first before I ask any questions.
None right now.
Thank you.
It's still going in my head.
Okay. Ms. Wheatley, Ms. Messer, thank you very much for making your presentation. I appreciate it. Just a couple questions. Do you have a plan for the remainder of your capital campaign?
Plan for what?
Do you have a plan for the remainder of your capital campaign? You
Yes.
said it's about $1 million. That's
Yes, there is a plan for that, and part of it, in all honesty, I think that number will come down because we have not been able, the estimate I have for construction is just that,